we'll jump in here. We're talking about the impact having twins had on my life. So I experienced twin shock at 10 weeks and then entered a long phase of morning sickness. Sound familiar to anyone? I delivered my twin girls at 37 weeks, and my first daughter, Anna, was born with only about 40% of her blood. So as soon as she was born, we heard her weak cry and saw her gray skin, and the doctors whisked her away. So then I got to refocus to deliver my second daughter, Rachel. I was already dividing my time and couldn't focus on the pain I was in personally. Oh, the sacrifices you make as a mother, right? So after the girls were both born, my doctor started stitching me up, and a team of doctors and nurses and my husband prepared Anna to be airlifted to a nearby NICU. And a third team of nurses cleaned up baby Rachel and brought her to my chest to begin to breastfeed. That's kind of how it goes, huh? So having twins impacts your life. Now, before continuing, you should all know that our little Anna is healthy, and she needed a couple days at the hospital and a couple tablespoons of blood for transfusion, and she's fine. So I'm very thankful for their health. And we've got two noisy, healthy preschoolers. So this excerpt of my twins' birth is just one example that illustrates how hard it is to have twins. Just to carry them in utero and deliver them is tough. It's just the beginning. But it's doable, and I know you guys can relate with me. So I had no clue what an impact having twins would have on my life. For me, my twin daughters were our first kids, and it brought our life to a complete halt, just to care for them hour to hour. You ladies understand, the night feedings, double everything, with half as much sleep, or maybe, a third, less than half. Oh, and I had no idea how sleep-deprived I would be, nor how much I would have to heal after delivery, which affected my energy level every day and physical intimacy with my husband, or should I say lack of, right? I didn't realize that I'd be stuck at home a lot and wouldn't be one of those cute moms who bopped right back to her normal pre-baby size and be out at the next social function like a week later. That was not me. I didn't realize that my social life would come to an end and that I would encounter deep loneliness and frustration with being overwhelmed with a new task that was now my life. You know. So I'll pause here and ask you to complete this sentence. And it'll go something like this. I didn't realize that blank would change so much once I had my twins. So who wants to fill in the blank? Or having twins changed blank for me.
This is Sam, and I would say it changes everything.
Changes everything. Thanks, Sam.
Everything. I can't think of one thing because it just affects everything. Your whole life changes.
I agree.
So for me, it was everything.
Yes. Okay, anyone else?
Allison.
Hold that thought, Allison. I've got another call here. Hello?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Becky, it's Kristen.
Hey, Kristen. Welcome. You're about I think we have about 6 callers on. How are you doing?
I'm good. I've been trying for half an hour. It's giving me a busy signal.
You are not the only one. Every other person's had that frustration. So I'm going to have to look into maybe a different service or just a different time.
Yeah.
Hey, Kristen, we've got a couple other callers with various age twins. Why don't you just introduce yourself and how old your kids are?
Okay. My name's Kristen, and I have a 3-year-old and twin boy-girl 6-month-old. 6-month-old.
So we've got kind of a gamut here, from 5 years old, 5-year-old twins to pregnant and 3 months along with twins.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun. Okay, so getting back to the talk, we're filling in the blank. I didn't realize that blank would change once I had my twins. So anyone else want to say their name and say what changed for them? I think, Allison, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just sort of thinking about, I had twins first, so thinking about what going into parenting would be like for the first time round, and twins changing recreation and what you can do with just 2 babies compared to just one as your first experience. So that was a bit shocking and a little bit depressing that I couldn't just pick my baby up and carry her and go out for a walk. It was like double stroller or find a buddy to go for a hike. I'm not willing to carry 2 babies. So, bit of a shock.
This is Lindsay.
Yes.
I would say I was not expected to feel so torn. I had not expected to feel torn. Like, if I'm giving one baby attention, it means I'm not giving the other one. So I felt like I couldn't really enjoy. I'm getting better, but I couldn't really ever enjoy the time I had with either one of them because it meant I wasn't having time with the other one.
Yeah. Thanks, Lindsay. Anyone else?
This is Kina, and I think stress level. I wasn't expected to. I didn't feel like I was going to, or I wasn't aware that I would be so stressed out or feel so much pressure to maintain and to take care of. So that definitely was a huge change.
Yeah. Great. Anyone else before we move on?
I would probably agree. Oh, this is Kristen again.
Yeah.
I so understand where Lindsay's coming from, just because it's really hard to have, like an older one, and then the 2 that are so, demanding still. And when they're both tired at the same time or both hungry at the same time, or, inevitably somebody is waiting or crying because you can't get to them. So it's just like that mommy guilt that's already so huge.
Yeah.
And you're just hoping they're not going to remember and hold it against you.
Definitely. Well, thanks, everybody, for sharing. I want to hear more from you. I'll share a bit more, and then we'll get into some more conversation. So when my daughters were 9 months old, I went on a marriage retreat with my husband for a whole weekend. It was amazing. And I highly recommend it. And so my parents live out of state. I'm from Michigan, which you probably can hear some of my accent. And at the time, my father-in-law was battling cancer. So in order for us to go on this retreat, which I thought was totally, undoable, I had to arrange 4 different people to watch the girls. So they came in different shifts because they were all busy for different parts of the weekend. So, there was a lady from our church, there was an aunt, there was another gal I knew in the neighborhood. I mean, it was like this pack of women that just rallied to help us out. So it was super awesome to get away. But I remember very clearly how hard it was for me to ask for help from other people. I was so proud, and I wanted to show that I could, like I'm cruising along, right? I can do this on my own. Anyway, at that marriage retreat, I found part of me that had been missing for almost a year, I'd say, even as at the end of my pregnancy kind of started. That weekend, I relaxed with my husband. I didn't carry bags, diapers, bottles, or babies, and I had chubby babies. They were like 20 pounds at 6 months.
Cool.
Really chubby. And they were tiny when they were born. Formula just really heightened their growth. So anyway, in addition to the rest, I met a life coach there who helped me to realize that I was losing myself. Now, I hadn't heard anything about coaching other than like athletics and an athletic coach. So now I wasn't clinically depressed at the time, nor did she give me advice, nor tell me I was losing myself. I discovered this all on my own as she asked me questions about myself. So she helped me to remember who I was and what I valued. And remember, a key lesson was that I would get stuck and then stay stuck and frustrated, and it didn't get me anywhere. So at the end of the weekend, she had us all get a rock and then write a phrase on the rock that really was meaningful to us, something that would kind of help us remember this weekend. And so my phrase was, look beyond. And it was like I had to look beyond the exhaustion, beyond the frustration, beyond the laundry, the monotony, and look ahead to what was next. So what was next for me was how to find time for myself daily or how to see windows of opportunity. See, I really didn't have a plan, but I did know that I had to start thinking about windows of opportunity. I wanted to anticipate life and look forward to each day, and I was kind of more in the stuck, overwhelmed, frustration mode. So I knew all too well what frustrated me and what wasn't possible in a given day, but what about what was possible for me? So at that time, my husband worked full-time, and I was home with the girls all day, every day. So my opportunities were either early morning, like 5 a.m., before they woke up, or nap time if they both slept at the same time, or evenings after they were in bed. So those were all my opportunities. So I started thinking about babysitters I knew, what our budget was, and when I could plan something. And I got to say, no matter what your budget, it is important to get out without your kids to just be you. And that's got to be, I think child care will be an upcoming, just how to brainstorm on the topic of child care. So here's a few questions for you to ponder, and you don't have to answer these out loud, or you don't have to answer these now, and actually don't even write them down because I'll email them to you, and you can read them later and think on them. But here's some questions that help you kind of think through taking time for yourself daily. 1, what are some things you'd enjoy doing by yourself? 2, who is a person you'd like to meet for lunch? And 3, what's a fun date you can plan for you and your significant other this week? It's good to just kind of get your, kind of stir up some ideas. So those questions will hopefully unlock a little bit more. Okay, so after finding the window of time and claiming it, you've won part of the battle. It helps to realize that you do have time for yourself. You just have to decide to have eyes to see it. So I had to look beyond feeling stuck and see opportunity. I had to be creative and plan ahead. So I kind of made a conscious choice against saying, oh, having twins is so hard, which it is, but I kind of got caught up in the drama of it, I think. And my decision was to just say, hey, I'm gonna try to have fun with my girls and make lemonade out of lemons, which is so cliche, but you got to force yourself to kind of put a smile on your face and go for it. So how to act and take time for yourself. What do you want to do? So once you've found the pockets of time, what on earth will you do with this time? This is where that mommy guilt kind of kicks in too, right? Like, no, you can't do that, and that negative self-talk. So the first key is do what you enjoy doing. Take the time to think about who you are and what you enjoy. If your twins are young, tell yourself you have to decide. It will be fun to just go for a quiet drive by myself with no music on because I won't hear crying babies. And you got to just chalk it up for fun, right? And it's like, this is what I'm going to do right now, because it takes time to kind of relearn who you are after having twins, because it really is all-encompassing. It changes everything, just like one of you said earlier. You have to take baby steps and don't feel lame. It's okay to just go for a drive and don't even know where you're going. Just get in your car, do a little loop around the neighborhood, and come back. But it's like you've gotten some time to kind of clear your mind. And don't get into the negative trap, the trap of negative talk, where you'd say, oh, I could never do that. Like maybe hiring a babysitter and getting a manicure and a pedicure. I mean, maybe that's not your style, but it's doable. It's totally doable. Or don't tell yourself that what is fun for you is really stupid and outdated, because the key is if it's fun, if it sounds like fun, go for it, especially